Hello and welcome to our email list. We are super excited to have you, so thank you for joining. Over the next few days, you will receive some emails. These emails are full of stretch tips, some education to really get you started and moving towards your greatest gains in flexibility. Now, obviously you care about your flexibility, otherwise you would not have clicked on the email or joined this list. So what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking to improve overall flexibility and mobility? Are you looking to improve flexibility and mobility in a certain part or certain portion of your body? For example, do you realize maybe that your hip flexors are tight and that if you stretch them more appropriately and more effectively, it would improve your hip extension, meaning anytime your leg goes back behind you. So by stretching your hip flexors and quads, you would improve your arabesque, say, or your attitude derriere, or maybe your penché. Or have you realized and recognized that your hamstrings feel tight and rigid, especially after you start dancing and continue dancing throughout the year? Would you like to decrease that pain? Well, you might find that your outer hip is tight and this is limiting your turnout. There are so many different reasons to choose a flexibility program, but whatever your reason is, it's super important, but it's more important that you identify it. As you identify your reasons for stretching, you're going to commit to a stretch program that works for you. Okay, so let's talk about the reason stretch programs may or may not work for you. So I've been working with dancers for a long time, 22 years to be exact. I have studied a lot about stretching, anatomy, science, you name it. I've probably looked into it to see how it affects flexibility and mobility, along with strength and stability and other things. But right now we're talking about flexibility and mobility. So people want to get more flexible and they often don't know where to start. So they look at a variety of stretch programs or they start to Google how to become more flexible. And what happens is you'll probably come across a lot of different philosophies, a lot of different points of view, a lot of different ways to get flexible. And the most important thing for you when searching for or seeking a program to help you is to find one that really solves your pain points or the challenges you experience when it comes to stretching. Now, I work with thousands and thousands of dancers a year, and I have the opportunity to have a lot of conversations with dancers, dance instructors, studio owners through events I teach at. For example, I teach for Dance Teacher Summit, and in the summers I go teach at their summit, and we have exposure to thousands of dancers that are there attending something called Dancerpalooza. Through these conversations, I've really been able to identify 4 challenges people come across when trying to find and implement an effective stretch program. And the challenges essentially are this: lack of time, lack of consistency, lack of variety, and lack of anatomical application. So when your program doesn't cover those 4 things, it will actually be lacking somewhere. So when you find a stretch program, and all stretch programs that we offer through Academy for Dance cover these, I call them stretch pitfalls, but they're really just challenges people run into. So again, all of our programs cover and address these challenges. For example, lack of time. A lot of people have been told they need to stretch for an hour every day to see the maximum gains in flexibility available in their body. That is a myth. That's not true. You don't need to stretch an hour in a day. And in fact, if you're a dancer and you're stretching at dance and then you're going home to stretch an hour a day, you're probably creating pain, and that pain may lead to injury. So rather than trying to stretch an hour a day, find a program that works for you. I say if you're doing an at-home program, maximum 30 minutes every other day. So we try to create doable programs that people can stick to and that won't hurt you or cause you pain and injury. So that's really the key. Finding a program that you can fit in that actually almost saves you time. We actually teach you how to save time when stretching by becoming really efficient, but it's gotta be doable. You can't have somebody tell you you've gotta stretch an hour a day. You're not gonna do it. You might do it for a little while, but chances are it's gonna be really hard to stick with because you probably have a busy schedule. So let's talk about lack of consistency. Consistency really is key to sticking with something and to seeing results. When, say, we're choosing something that we just simply cannot implement into our lives because it's requiring too much time, that never provides us with the opportunity to become consistent. So when when choosing any kind of flexibility program, stretch program, or really any program for that matter, you have to assess where you are in life and be very honest with yourself about how much time do I have? What can I really put into this? And choose something that fits into your schedule. Otherwise, consistency won't happen, and then you won't do it and you won't see the results. Now, consistency even goes beyond that, in that we want you to be very consistent with your approach to the stretches you do, to the time you put into the stretches you do, and to the sequencing that you do. So any program that you buy from us through the Academy for Dance will really lay out how to approach the program, meaning how to approach stretching, and your approach to stretching needs to be consistent. You'll learn how to approach stretching correctly, and spoiler alert, it has all to do with your nervous system, very little to do with your muscular system or your fascial system or even your skeletal system, although your skeletal system will ultimately define your range of motion, meaning it may prevent you from going any farther into a stretch, for example, like middle splits at some point. Many dancers will experience something called skeletal compression, where a bone hits bone, you can't go any farther. But being consistent with your approach to stretching teaches your nervous system, which your nervous system is what regulates flexibility, that stretching's safe. So this is something you'll learn through our programs, and it might sound a little weird just listening to you right now, but truly you have to teach your body that stretching is safe and familiar. And once you do that, your body will become less resistant to stretching, and your discomfort when stretching, if you're one of those people that find stretching to be very uncomfortable, will decrease, or you'll start to diminish, and you might even find it to be very relaxing and enjoyable. But you gotta be consistent. Okay. Lack of variety was the third pitfall or challenge I mentioned, and I see this over and over and over again. People, particularly dancers, stretching the same thing day after day. Sometimes, and some of the dancers we work with literally stretch their hamstrings 3 to 4 times in one day, and then they ask me why their hamstrings hurt all the time. Well, they're overstretching them. So if you stretch something too much, eventually you're going to do something called overstretching. And what you're doing is you're creating little micro tears in the muscle. Muscles can deal with some micro tears, but too many, now we move into pain. Too many more, we move into injury. So variety really helps us to stay away from pain and injury, and also improve overall flexibility and mobility everywhere. So you may be putting a ton of attention on your hamstrings, but by putting a little bit of attention on your lateral thigh, so the outside of the thigh, it's often called the IT band, but you don't actually stretch the IT band. You stretch the surrounding musculature and maybe some attachment sites. And then into the outer hip, all of a sudden you see a higher BOTMA because your hamstrings or your hip gets more range of motion by just tweaking your approach or focusing on stretching something else. So variety is super key. You want to have a lot of variety in your stretches. So when choosing a stretch program, you want to ensure that it has variety, and you're stretching all sorts of things like your hip flexors and quads, your outer hip and thigh, your deep six external hip rotators, your lateral thigh, your calves, your side body, your shoulders, your chest, your mid-back, everything. You really want to be covering it all. Now, lack of anatomical application. This is also a pretty big one. So the placement and the alignment of your stretches really does matter. By slightly tweaking the pelvis, you can completely change a stretch. By maintaining a neutral spine rather than rounding your spine, you can completely change a stretch. So you really want to ensure that your stretch programs, or whoever you're using to stretch with or following, knows their anatomy, because that's going to help you really find your greatest flexibility and mobility by placing your body in the appropriate way or the appropriate position to maximize the stretch. For example, if you're one of those people that loves to round your back when doing a forward fold, you're stretching your back. This is great and this is fine if the goal is to stretch your back, but if you're doing a forward fold and the intention is to stretch your hamstrings, you definitely need a neutral spine. So again, all programs we offer through the Academy of Dance address this. They place the body in the right place to maximize the stretch and the goal. So if you are ready to maximize your flexibility and mobility, to find a program that saves you time, that helps you reach your dance specific goals, that creates consistency, that creates variety, that helps you avoid overstretching, understretching, and keeps you safe away from pain and injury, then click on the link below. It will take you to the Dancer's Flexibility Bundle, available exclusively at the Academy for Dance. Now, this bundle includes a lot. It includes 5 different stretch ebooks and 2 dance-specific stretch programs. One is our Higher Arabesque and Attitude Derriere stretch program. The other is our Higher Battement stretch program. Both of these programs are online, where you will have access to a variety of videos. Some of those videos are the weekly stretches that you'll be doing. Some are educational in that it's going to teach you how to appropriately approach stretching. It will teach you about how to use your move bands. So these bands designed to be used with the stretches to really improve flexibility in your shoulders, in your mid-back, in your hip flexors, quads, and side body. You will receive a little bit of other information as well, mainly educational, but we feel like it's really important that you are educated, especially if you're doing an at-home stretch program. You should know why you're doing what you're doing. We like to provide that value for you. We like to inform you. This helps to keep you safe. This helps to keep you moving forward in the right direction. The bundle also includes 3 videos. So one is a core conditioning class, and then the other 2 are dynamic mobility type classes. They're very effective at improving strength, balance, alignment, and posture. All 3 videos are great add-ins to the bundle because they can be used as a warm-up prior to stretching. Another fun thing we are doing with this bundle is that you can enter into our flexibility challenge. Now, once you do that, if that's something that you would like to do, we'll send you more information. But essentially, our flexibility challenge will be geared around 3 different stretch milestones, or you could think of them as dance-specific movements that we're going to pretty much walk you through, help you get to that goal, reach your goals, and we'll show you how to track your progress, etc. We'll have a Facebook group so you can ask questions, check in, see how you're doing, and the winner will also receive $250. Now, the winner is not going to be chosen based on how good your end result is. The winner will be based on progress. So what we're looking for is how much improvement do you see over 60 days sticking with the stretches in our challenge. Okay, we hope to see you joining our challenge and look forward to working with you.